Hey there, in this video we're going to talk about how to create a bigger impact in our world by getting out of your own way. In this series, we're digging into what it means to be a change maker, someone going out and trying to make a difference in the lives of others to create a change in our world. And we talked about the fact that there's three essential elements: clarity of yourself, community, and actually going out and creating the change. And so in this video, we're digging into a topic under that idea of inner world clarity. And so a lot of times when I'm coaching clients and working with change makers, entrepreneurs, people going out there creating something in our world, they find themselves getting stuck and getting in their own way, often over and over and over again with that same repeating pattern. And so what I want you to do first and foremost is to stop and think, how are you actually getting in your own way? Perhaps there's that voice in your head that just says, you're not good enough. Who are you to be going out and creating a change? Sometimes we call that imposter syndrome. Or perhaps it's getting caught up in perfectionistic tendencies where you don't want to go out and actually release anything into the world because it's not quite there yet. It's not perfect. Maybe you're just overanalyzing and you're just overthinking everything that's going through your mind and not actually moving it into action. Perhaps you're overwhelmed with all of the ideas and possibilities that live in your mind, and you don't know where to begin. You don't know what to prioritize. And so you just start coming up and brainstorming and dreaming about all these ideas and possibilities, but you don't actually move them into action. Or perhaps you're getting so caught up in the details of the situation that you're losing sight of the bigger picture of the impact that you're trying to create. Those are just a couple ideas of what might be happening. And for you, it could be different, or it might be one of those different topics. But the first thing I want you to do is think about it. How are you getting in your own way? And a lot of times there's a repeating pattern that exists in our minds, that exists in our lives. And if we can start to recognize what that pattern is, we can then start to move out of it. Now, when we're thinking about getting in our own way, there's two tools that I use with my clients that I coach to help them get out of that place, to get unstuck, to get out of their own way, to get out of their own head, and to move into action. Tool number one is personality. You've probably heard me talk a little bit about it before, maybe you haven't, but knowing who you are and the way that you are most naturally wired can be one of your greatest superpowers when you're trying to go out and create an impact in our world. Why? Because the world is constantly trying to bring you back to what's normal, to what's expected. This is how you live your life. This is what you're supposed to do. But the reality is, a lot of times what the world expects of us only really works for a small minority of the world's population. And when you start to unpack the way that your mind is uniquely wired, we can start to see the unique strengths that you have. We can start to see the amazing gifts that you have that you can bring out into the world. But on the flip side, we can also see through the wiring of your mind those blind spots or the patterns that might exist when we start getting defensive going out there into the world. And so by first understanding how your mind is wired, we can start to unpack the cognitive side of you, your brain, to really start to really deeply, intimately understand the patterns that are naturally existing in your mind so that we can use them as a point of strength and use that point of strength to overcome those barriers and limitations that you might be facing. So for example, in my wiring, a pattern that happens for me all the time is that I have a tendency to get caught up in that perfectionism, overthinking, overanalyzing, and I don't actually move out into action. I'll constantly just start getting in my own head, and I'll be thinking and looking for patterns, and I'll just try and make everything perfect. And if it's not good enough, and I get caught up in this cycle. And if I don't know that yet, I've got to go out and learn some more, or try it again, or make it a little bit better. And one of my biggest pitfalls in the way that my mind is wired, if I don't leverage it as a strength, is I will overthink things so much that I never actually put it out there into the world. But on the flip side, I can leverage that as a superpower. I have the ability to go out and consume so much information and simplify it and bring it to the people that I serve so that they could be impacted by that information. And what helps me to get out of my own head is to think about who I'm actually trying to serve. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a future video. So stay tuned. And if you're curious more about how to do that, click subscribe so that you stay locked in following this channel as we continue digging in these future topics. So first things first, you have to know your personality. Who are you? And how is your mind wired? And one of my favorite tools for that is a tool called the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. And I have plenty of resources on that. Check out the channel. There's lots of videos out there. But really getting that deep dive into the wiring of your mind can be so liberating. Now, the second element to gain that inner clarity, to get out of your own way, to go out and to create that greater impact, is to know your unique purpose. I know that every person on our planet has a unique purpose. When you sit down and talk with someone and collect the stories from their life, you can start to identify this reoccurring pattern or theme that exists. And what's beautiful about unpacking that theme is, one, it speaks to what you bring to the world, but it also speaks to how you can go out and create that significant impact and create a change in our world. Like I said when we were talking about personality, the world is going to constantly try and bring you back to what's expected. But when you know your unique purpose, you have the ability to stay rooted, to stay on mission with the unique way that your mind is wired, to externalize that and bring that out into the world, to create a change, to create impact that's in alignment with this natural pattern that's reoccurring in your mind. And when you operate from that space, you are going to feel a greater sense of fulfillment, which means it's going to fill you up. It's going to make you feel meaningful, feel purposeful, feel fulfilled, so that you have the energy to continue to go out and to create an even greater impact as you go out and serve others. So, in this video, we talked about how to create a greater impact in our world by getting out of your own way. And the first thing you have to do is start to recognize, how are you getting in your way? What is that pattern and how does it uniquely show up for you? One tool that we talked about to help identify what that pattern is and how to use your strength to get out of that is to know your unique personality. And once you have that foundational understanding of the way that your mind is wired, then articulating your purpose so that every day when you wake up, you are living on mission, on purpose to go out and to create a change in our world with a greater lens of intentionality. In the next video, hit subscribe, stay tuned. We're going to be talking about community and the people that exist in your life that you need to bring along with you to keep you filled and feeling on purpose as you go out and to create that impact and create that change in the world. So if you haven't already, click like. If you're enjoying this message, click subscribe so you stay tuned for that future video, and drop a comment below. How do you find yourself getting in your own way? Do you notice a pattern there? Do you find yourself overthinking? Are you overwhelmed? What is that pattern for you? And drop a comment below so that we can join together as a community to support each other, lift each other up, so that we can go out and create that impact and a better future for our world. Stay tuned for the next video.